every disease that I saw in my office over a period of, say, 10 years had a dominant parasite involved.
Who is Dr. Hulda Clark? She's a controversial alternative practitioner who wrote the widely selling book The Cure for All Diseases, and who claims all disease is caused by parasites. She claims to have a Ph.D. in physiology from the University of Minnesota, but actually received a degree with a major in zoology and a minor in botany for her thesis entitled A Study of the Ion Balance of Crayfish Muscle, Evidence for 2 Compartments of Cellular Potassium. She has a naturopathic degree from the unaccredited Clayton College of Natural Health, and she is the recipient of a summary judgment by the Federal Trade Commission preventing her from making unsubstantiated claims regarding her medical devices.
Remember, I was testing everybody for a set of parasites, about 70. I list all the parasites in the book, which ones I was testing for. And to my surprise, if you had diabetes, it would be uretrema, the pancreatic fluke. Pancreatic fluke. Diabetes is a disease of the pancreas.
And that is precisely where the relationship ends. Uretrema pancreaticum is a parasite of the pancreatic ducts of herbivorous mammals, like camels, monkeys, cows, etc. Its habitat ranges across Asia and South America, and parasitic infection is called uretremiasis. Uretremiasis is rare in humans, as the parasite is only spread by ingesting infected grasshoppers. It has absolutely nothing to do with any form of diabetes. Diabetics do not universally eat grasshoppers.
So we have a relationship with 2 parasites and cancer, Clostridium bacteria and the Fasciolopsis parasite, which you call the fluke.
Okay, bear with me as we start with the Clostridium genus of bacteria. Clostridium is a well-studied genus of bacteria because Clostridia are found in soil, sewage, marine sediment, decaying animal and plant material, as well as the intestinal tracts of humans and other animals. They are ubiquitous and find their way into wounds and food. Their toxins are well characterized and cause a host of human diseases. Let's look at some members of the Clostridium genus and see if they cause cancer. Clostridium botulinum. C. botulinum's nerve toxin causes botulism, a paralytic illness. It's a relatively rare disease with only about 110 reported cases each year in the United States. Foodborne transmission of botulism is often from improperly canned food, while wound infection is from improper care of opened wounds. Botulism is a serious disease that may lead to death through respiratory failure, but it is not cancer. Next is Clostridium tetani. C. tetani's nerve toxin causes tetanus, another paralytic illness. It's a formerly common and serious disease. It's now preventable by regular vaccination. Transmission of tetanus is usually through a wound, often a deep puncture wound, but the disease itself is not contagious. The characteristic body posture shown to the left and lockjaw are common features of the disease progression. But once again, it is not cancer. Okay, I'll summarize the remaining members of the Clostridium genus. Clostridium difficile, known to health workers as C. diff, may cause diarrhea or colitis after normal intestinal flora is altered, such as through antibiotics. Clostridium perfringens has been found in every soil sample ever tested, with the exception of the Sahara Desert, as well as being a part of the normal human intestinal flora. Rare strains of C. perfringens may cause food poisoning. Other Clostridia are much rarer, and their role in human diseases is limited, but they are well studied, and the effect of their toxins is well known. Most importantly, the effect is not cancer. Alright, let's move on to the Fasciolopsis buscae. Fasciolopsis is a trematode that can spend part of its rather complex life cycle, shown above, infecting the human intestinal tract. Lucky for most of us, the geographical distribution of Fasciolopsis is limited to Asia and the Indian subcontinent, so infection in the West is rare. Of course, if you were infected, you would have a well-documented disease called fasciolopsiasis, and not cancer.
The Fasciolopsis larval parasite belongs to the malignant development. The Clostridium belongs to the premalignant or tumor growth part of the whole process.
And now that we have all heard the truth about Clostridium and Fasciolopsis, together we can recognize this statement for the complete and utter bullshit that it really is.
We now have all the people watching this squirming at home because they all think now, okay, I understand, I have parasites in my body. And we all do, according to your research.
Yes, of course we do.
So according to your research, you found that all humans have this, and as long as we're healthy, we're okay with it because the body can handle it. My next question to you is, how do we rid ourselves of these tenacious bacteria, parasites, and virus? Do you have an answer to that?
The answer that I came up with already in the first books was the hull of the black walnut tree, but the hull has to be green. There is something in the green hull that kills everything I ever tested for.
Some statements should always make your bullshit-o-meter hit the maximum reading. These are statements like, there is one cause for diverse diseases, like the statement, cancer is caused by a fluke and a bacteria. Or, there's one cure for diverse diseases, such as, you should take black walnut to get rid of all parasites. Or, the cure always works, i.e., it kills everything. No scientific support exists for Dr. Hulda Clark's claims regarding black walnut hulls. Very early evidence exists suggesting one chemical compound in the walnut, not the hull, called juglone, may reduce cancer risk, but human studies have not yet been completed. The claims regarding this product far, far, far exceed the evidence.
How do we get them? That has been the subject of my research and what's in the Advanced Cancer book, of course. We eat Clostridium bacteria because they're everywhere in dirt.
Is she saying she eats dirt?
But we don't get sick from eating Clostridium in dirt.
Well, I guess I don't get sick because I don't eat dirt.
We eat a common little parasite in dirt called rabbit fluke. It has a scientific name too.
This is a rabbit. Rabbits are what the rabbit fluke, Hastellesia tricolor, infects. Rabbits are not humans, and a zoologist should really know this.
And that rabbit fluke brings in Clostridium, sort of like the Trojan horse brought in soldiers. They are within. So after eating rabbit fluke with nearly all the food that you think is perfectly safe.
Carrots? Root vegetables?
Raw carrots, yes. Even cooked carrots, yes. Because this parasite, the rabbit fluke, does not get killed by boiling temperatures.
This is absolute nonsense, as cooking foods is the surest way to kill flukes. However, in researching hypothermophiles, the few archaea and bacteria who can survive temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Celsius, I discovered what is now my new favorite animal. So you'll have to forgive my digression, as I'd rather tell you about it than refute Hulda Clark's nonsense. You are looking at a picture of a tardigrade, also known as a water bear, which might just be the hardiest animal on this planet, Steve Irwin aside. As well as being found in hot springs, atop the Himalayas, and under layers of solid ice, the tardigrade also makes its home in milder climates, like ponds and meadows. Now get this, it can survive dehydration for up to a decade, temperature extremes from negative 272 degrees Celsius, that's 1 degree above absolute zero, up to 151 degrees Celsius. It can also withstand 570,000 rads of radiation, 2,000 rads being deadly to humans for a comparison, as well as withstanding pressure extremes ranging from the vacuum of space to 6,000 times the atmospheric pressure of Earth. It can also withstand a variety of chemical assaults. And as the next clip shows, they're pretty darn cute too. I mean, look at that little guy. He's just adorable. Look at his little paws. Oh, see? I wish I could have one of these as a pet. I know I wouldn't be able to kill it. Okay, back to Hulda Clark, one of my least favorite animals.
We test all the food for our patients for 3 molds: zearalenone, patulin, and aflatoxin.
First off, these aren't even molds. They're mycotoxins made by molds, which is a fact Hulda Clark doesn't seem to understand. Alright, bear with me again as we go through each mycotoxin in turn. Zearalenone. It's a non-steroidal, estrogenic, meaning it causes the release of estrogen, mycotoxin produced by some members of the Fusarium species. Studies have found no direct toxic or carcinogenic properties of zearalenone in pigs, rats, or mice. Now, there is some tumor growth in extremely high doses, but this has been found to be related to the estrogenic effect of the mycotoxin. High levels of estrogen are known to cause cancer. Safe levels of the mycotoxin have been established by the World Health Organization, and you have little cause for concern if you do not regularly eat moldy foods. Patulin. This is a possibly harmful mycotoxin produced by members of the Penicillium species found in fruits, particularly apples. It's not a particularly potent mycotoxin, and and was actually initially studied as a potential antibiotic. Now, carcinogenicity studies are negative or inconclusive, though it may cause damage to DNA in extremely high doses. But safe levels of the mycotoxin have been established by the World Health Organization, and you have little cause for concern if you do not regularly eat moldy foods. Aflatoxin. Now this is the dangerous one. It's a toxic and carcinogenic mycotoxin produced by members of the Aspergillus species. Chronic exposure has been implicated in liver cancers, and acute toxicity can also cause liver necrosis and cirrhosis. Interestingly, vaccination against hepatitis B, the other major player in liver cancer, may have a significantly protective effect against aflatoxin toxicity. But again, safe levels of the mycotoxin have been established by the FDA, and you have little cause for concern if you do not regularly eat moldy foods. So in case you missed it, the take-home message is, don't eat moldy food. And I don't think you really need to be told that.
I see those molds, that is the mycotoxins that they make, not the mold, growing mold itself. But the mycotoxins they make are dreadfully toxic, and I always see them in cancer patients, right in the tumor. I'm not sure what the significance of that is, but when you find it's a common denominator for tumors, it does make you think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely it would. That is, it would if the mycotoxins were consistently found in tumor cells. And they're not.
And where does the patulin mold come from?
Patulin is found in other fruits and plant materials too, but apples is where we get most of it. You can hardly peel an apple without seeing some mold under the peeling, and that will have patulin in it.
Is that what we see in the brown spot?
Yes. That's what the brown spot is. It isn't really a brown spot. It's a moldy spot.
As an apple decays, a number of fungi might be acting upon it, but only the penicillium species would produce patulin. It's little cause for concern if there's a spot. If it really bothers you, just cut it out. But interestingly, apples naturally turn brown after exposure to air, as chemicals in the fruit react with oxygen to form melanin. And of course, this is not at all toxic.
How do you suggest we prepare our fruit, and how should we eat it?
Mostly don't eat it.
Don't eat fruits? Wow, that could be some of the worst medical advice I've ever heard. She wants you to lose the known benefits of a diet high in fruits because of her ludicrous claims of mycotoxins causing cancer. That statement is borderline criminal. Of course, that's what happens when you get medical advice from a loony zoologist. And I mean no offense to actual zoologists.
What's your concern with the relationship with the pet and the sick patient?
Pet dander and pet saliva and pet filth gets into everything in the room. I have tested dust from the room of a home where there was a pet, let's say just a cat, much as I love cats.
Yeah, who would have guessed she liked cats?
And there are ascaris eggs everywhere, and tapeworm eggs everywhere, on the tabletop, on the kitchen counter, on the chairs, anywhere you want to take a dust sample.
Okay, we have here another complicated graph from the CDC showing the Ascaris lumbricoides life cycle. Now to summarize it and put it simply, Ascaris lumbricoides, the roundworm that infects 1.5 billion humans worldwide, does not infect domestic animals. So domestic animals are incapable of infecting humans with Ascaris eggs. Now, some worm infections can be zoonotic, meaning they can be transferred from animals to humans. So for the sake of completeness, I feel I should mention toxocariasis. This is caused by Toxocara canis and to a lesser extent by Toxocara cati. Now this is referred to as dog and cat roundworm. Now risk factors for this disease include exposure to pre-wormed puppies or, interestingly, geophagia, which a surprisingly large number of small children practice habitually. But to suggest that every domesticated animal carries a roundworm infection is absolutely ludicrous. If your pet is neither a lactating female or a puppy, you have no cause for concern for infection from the Toxocara species.
And why wouldn't there be? Our dander is everywhere, and our germs are everywhere. Why wouldn't theirs be?
And what do these two parasites do to the body?
They are very injurious, ascaris does some of the most damaging things to us, causes our seizures, causes our very many brain disorders.
Actually, ascaris infection usually has no clinical signs. An extremely high worm burden could cause intestinal obstruction or abdominal pain, and migrating worms could cause localized problems. But once again, Hulda Clark's claims are as fake as her wig. As a note, several anecdotes from patients claiming miraculous cures by Hulda Clark have been cut. We are always exceedingly happy when an illness is resolved, regardless of the cause, but we refuse to be complicit in the exploitation of their diseases to prop up ludicrous claims. Numerous explanations of miraculous cures abound, especially the placebo effect, but we deal solely with evidence. A currency Hulda Clark's cures are lacking.
So now you're a clinical dietitian.
Yes, now I work with my husband in his office and we follow Dr. Clark's protocol.
Who is Valeria Panfili? She's the wife of Dr. Adolfo Panfili, who will be discussed later, and her lack of medical degree enables her to make outrageous, unproved claims. And before you get upset, those are her words, not ours, as you'll soon see. Now, more information may possibly exist, but we don't speak Italian, and we're sorry. We blame our monoglot culture.
So, all the way over here in Italy, you're following Dr. Clark's protocol. Why are you using her specific protocol?
Well, we've used a lot of protocols. My husband is doing orthomolecular medicine here in Italy. He's the president of the International Association for Orthomolecular Medicine here. And we've seen many kind of medicines. He knows Ayurvedic medicine, Tibetan medicine, and vitamins, minerals, amino acids, of course, all those kind of things. Vitamin C from Linus Pauling teachings and everything. And lately we've discovered Dr. Clark's protocol and we've seen that it's very, very effective.
So basically they practice a wide range of complementary alternative medicines, which is fine. That they chose to adopt Hulda Clark's protocol does not speak highly of their practice, however. Now the next clip is Valeria's husband. You might notice how his testimonial is markedly more reserved than his wife's. You might also note he barely talks about Hulda Clark's protocol.
We are helping people to heal by cancer.
Who is Dr. Adolfo Panfili? He's the practitioner of orthomolecular medicine, a field closely associated with Linus Pauling, who advocated megadoses of vitamin C as a panacea against disease. He's also the author of several popular books on complementary alternative medicine, all of which are in Italian, and he was claimed in this video to be the physician to Pope John Paul II, though the personal physician of Pope John Paul II was Dr. Renato Busanetti, so I'm not sure what that means.
Yes, we have several people utilizing the principle by Dr. Clark, the black walnut, the vitamin C, the antioxidation, and the alkalinity diet, the alkalizing diet. And we have found very good results. And people, you know, when you increase the level of electron inside the cell, when you stabilize the cell with the proper fatty acids, when you teach the people how to get better, just avoiding the old mistakes, cancer is no more necessary.
Note how Dr. Panfili barely spoke of Hulda Clark's protocol, except to mention black walnut in passing. Now let's go back to his wife and find out why. Now keep in mind, this next segment is completely unedited.
What have you seen so far with working with cancer patients and Dr. Clark's formulas?
Great results, great recoveries, and I can say it because I'm not a medical doctor with my husband, as my husband is, so I can be more sincere with you. And because, you know, medical doctors also in Italy, they have to stay aware of the government.
So is there a legal problem with saying that you actually cure cancer?
Yes, of course there is. Yes, you cannot say you cure cancer. He was called by the government once, and they told him, you know, Dr. Panfili, you're very famous, but you must watch out because you cannot say that you cure cancer.
So, like Dr. Hulda Clark in the United States, Dr. Panfili got told to limit the outrageous claims made regarding this protocol. And I don't think I will ever understand why they chose to include that segment.
Perhaps you could elaborate on the word cure and help us to understand why you've chosen such a powerful word.
The word cure is an accurate word. I chose it because it was the correct description of what I was pursuing.
And yet the Federal Trade Commission disagrees.
So now for those people that have cancer, we're in the second week of the healing process, heading for the third week. We've rounded the corner. You must be excited at this part in the healing process when you're getting to work with the patient. What do you see?
At the end of the first week, we have cleaned up the tissues so thoroughly that we can afford to try to open the tumors.
Wow, that's wrong on so many levels. Cancer does not require tissue cleansing. Now, the following clip from the MD Anderson Cancer Center may help explain the causes of cancer.
To understand what causes cancer to occur, we must look deeper into the cell, at the genes that control the cell's growth and behavior, and how the cell's normal function may be disrupted or damaged. Since it is the genes that regulate the normal, orderly behavior of cells, abnormalities or damage to cells' genetic components cause them to behave abnormally, to become cancers. In some cases, people have inherited genes that may predispose them to cancer, while in other cases, genes are damaged by external environmental factors, such as smoking, exposure to chemicals or ultraviolet radiation, and perhaps even viruses. If cells are cancer cells, they grow, divide, and eventually form malignant tumors. Malignant tumors, unlike benign tumors, invade and destroy surrounding tissues and nearby organs.
You see, what's in the tumor is still everything that you got out of the rest of your tissues. You may have gotten rid of all the parasites, all the bacteria, all the heavy metals, plasticizers, solvents, everything you have cleaned up in the first week, but it's all still there in the tumors.
I'm not sure that Hulda Clark understands what a tumor is. It's not akin to a cyst or a boil, nor is it full of toxins. It's the uncontrolled growth of cancerous cells caused by damaged DNA.
Is it your suggestion then that you've already stopped the malignancy so the cancer can't now kill you?
Oh, we do that in the first day.
In the first day?
Yes, we just give a large dose of green black walnut hull.
And what does that do?
That kills the stages, larval stages of the fasciolopsis parasite called the intestinal fluke.
I think practitioners of medical quackery who take advantage of cancer patients are the very scum of the earth. They provide false hope to the hopeless and profit from the misery and illness of others. They are the parasites.
And that's the only single thing that causes malignancy.
That is the only thing that I have found so far over 5 years of studying possibly 2,000 to 3,000 patients.
All cancer.
Yes.
So
there may be other things, and other scientists can search for them, but I haven't found them.
You may not have found them because you are not a medical doctor nor a particularly competent researcher. But ignorance is no excuse, as the myriad of causes for cancer can be found with even the most cursory of searches. Hulda Clark, you are either a liar or an imbecile.
Why have no other researchers found this?
They haven't looked.
In 2007, the National Cancer Institute spent nearly $5 billion on cancer research and clinical trials. The idea that researchers are not looking for the causes of cancer is ludicrous. Alright, I've cut the remainder of this nonsense and chose to simply ask an expert on quacks. So, what kind of person is Hulda Clark? Well, there you have it.